Right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another night in our 32 and 31. Tonight, we're on to the Chicago Bears. I hope that you all are having a great night. I hope you had a great weekend, a great holiday, and all that good stuff. But yeah, we're back. We're back to some football here. We've had the content going. We're now on to day 7. Tonight, we're covering the Chicago Bears. We're going to be covering all 32 teams in the next 31 days. So if you have not, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. And also, make sure that you do hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I do appreciate the love and support. Rocking with your boy Jay. All right. Yeah. Chicago Bears, right? You've got Caleb Williams. You've got Cole Kmet. You've got DeAndre Swift. You got a lot going on with this team coming into next season. And I don't want to start by talking about the last season because, to be honest, I don't think it really matters. So I think we need to look forward in regards to what this team can do. I will say this, though. I think this team is going to be able to go in a different direction with the changes that they've made. I think from a coaching standpoint, they learn from their mistakes in the past as far as with certain players and certain individuals. And I also think that at this point, we're going to see a different outcome from this team. So without further ado, the poll question tonight is going to be, is Caleb Williams the real deal? That is currently in the poll, so make sure you vote on that. Obviously, if you do end up watching this later on the replay, go ahead and drop it in the comments whether or not you think Caleb Williams is the real deal and whether or not you think Chicago Bears are going to have a real chance this year as well. All right, quick shout out to Cat Daddy. What up, man? Immortal in the building, Daniel in the house, Donald in the building. What's up, Donald? Jacob in the house is, yo, Jay, I can't wait for the Steelers season prediction. Let's go Steelers. I got you, bro. I got you. Shout out to Purple in the house. Let's go, Purple. I see you. You was sneaking in and out. I see you. Shout out to you, Purple. Much love. Appreciate you being here tonight. Listening in while you cooking a dinner. Let's go. What you making tonight? Forrest in the house. What up, Forrest? Let's go. Let's get into it. All right. I want to start with the depth chart. I think that's where we need to start from. The depth chart. We're going to go ahead and go through that, break it down, and, essentially make sense of it, right? Obviously, Caleb Williams, number 1 draft pick, Chicago Bears get him. There was obviously, a few moments where he was acting like a diva and saying that he basically didn't want to play for the Bears and he was going to wait it for another year and he was going to do this and he was going to do that. And then obviously none of that matters anymore because now he's with the Chicago Bears. For your second string, it's going to be Tyson Bagent, followed by Brett Ripien, and then Austin Reed. As far as your running back, you got DeAndre Swift coming over from the Eagles, who had a great year. And you would think that'd be enough for the Eagles to actually say, hey, we're going to keep you on. But no, he got, traded out and obviously ended up over here with the Bears, followed by DJ Moore, another great wide receiver. And then Keenan Allen, obviously coming over from the Chargers. So just right there, right after Caleb Williams, obviously, DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, just starting there. That is 3 people that you definitely want on your team. I don't care what team you got. These 3 individuals will definitely produce. They will definitely get you some yards, and they'll definitely get you a touchdown or 2, or more than 2. And so it's just very interesting to see how the Bears have really changed things around and actually got Caleb Williams some help with this squad. Then obviously you've got, Rome being at the top of the draft as well. Him and Caleb basically linking up. And, he's got the chemistry built with him already, and that's just another weapon for him to utilize amongst the veterans. So, if you're Caleb Williams, I think you're coming into this Bear situation feeling really good about it and feeling like you have a solid chance of as far as changing this franchise around. Cole Kmet, I really like Cole Kmet. He's a strong tight end. He runs great routes. He's great at being shifty. He's a playmaker. I like Cole Kmet as well. That's a solid tight end. Then you got Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis, who, we haven't seen in a while. Then you got Stephon Carlson. As far as your fullback, you got Kari Blazingame. Left tackle is going to be Braxton Jones, Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, right guard Nate Davis, and then right tackle is going to be Darnell Wright. So, just looking at this offense here with these Bears, I like it. When we got into last year and we talked about Justin Fields and, what he potentially could have done and with that team and everything that, he potentially had, I was more in the point of saying, all right, there's, something hopeful here, something that could be built. And looking at this situation for Caleb Williams actually puts a smile on my face because this makes sense. You're not put in a situation to where you don't have a solid running back. You're not put into a situation where you don't have 3 solid wide receivers, a tight end that's going to be a workhorse for you. And for the most part, I think coming into this season, you're going to have a great O-line that's going to be able to give you some time to make some great decisions. So I say that to say that, yeah, this season coming up, it's going to be all on Caleb Williams. We're really not going to be able to make an excuse if Caleb Williams shits the bed. I just got to leave it out there just like that. We are not going to be able to make excuses for Caleb Williams because he has exactly what any quarterback would want coming into a team. So I like it. I think it's going to work for the Bears. I think that Caleb Williams obviously is going to have to adjust to the speed and things like that, but he's got more than enough personnel to help him out and the times that it matters the most for sure. But let me get into these comments real quick. Shout out to Father Pimptime. What up, yo? What's going on with you? Purple says spaghetti, meatballs, garlic bread, and salad. Let's go. I had spaghetti in a minute. I got to give me some spaghetti. Demidge and House. What up, Demidge? What's going on with you, bros? This is What's Good, Jay, Wrench Gang, and the fam. I was finally able to make it for live. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see you in Demidge. Shout out to the Wrench Gang, the family, all of you listeners and watchers. I do appreciate you. Raul Havana in the house says, I was hoping we signed Jim McMahon. Well, the thing about any team signing whoever they sign, right, is the GM and the coaches. They're the ones that figure it out and what's going to work and potentially what's not going to work. And I think with what the Bears were able to do with, the decisions they've made and this group of people right now, to be honest, I don't really have any complaints. And I don't think many Bears fans have complaints either, because considering what happened last year and the years before that, since even the Mitch Trubisky days, it's been very tough. It's been very tough for these Bears. And so to have, a starting lineup like this, you've got to feel good about this team. You got to feel good about this franchise moving forward. And that's just the bottom line. I will say this. I'll backtrack just a little bit. When we look at the stats between I want to say Herbert and Fields, as far as just from a running standpoint, Fields had way too many carries and Herbert had too many less carries for his position. You're supposed to be able to use this man for the workhorse that he could have been for this team on the running scheme. And unfortunately, I think Justin Fields substituted his arm to be on the run. And so that's kind of, why there were so many issues and so many problems as far as with the run game. Well, now you get a qualified running back, a real running back in there that I'm assuming that, the coach and the offensive coordinator is going to draw up a true game plan to get DeAndre Swift the ball a hell of a lot more. And he's going to be the one to put up some yards. He's going to get some touchdowns, make things a little bit easier for Caleb Williams to move down that field until obviously he gets comfortable. Until obviously he gets, the confidence to be able to move down the field the way that number one draft pick should with this kind of talent on the field. Says the running game will be zone blocking 75% of the time. We'll see. Shout out to you, Gay Smasher. What up, man? What's going on with you? Purple says, always want the Bears to do good. Means more tax money will go downstate. Well, we'll see. We'll see, right? We got to get through this defense, though. Gates says, let's see who shows up on opening day and go the distance. Well, that's what it boils down to. We know that everything looks good on paper, right? And that's all this is. We're giving our opinion. We're chopping it up. We're talking about some football. The reality is, it looks on paper, but it's also it also has to be displayed on the field. And when you don't have that happen, you then start pointing the fingers, right? Is it the quarterback? Is it the wide receivers? Are they dropping the ball? Is the ball getting picked off? Is the defense allowing too many points? What's the coach doing? Is it the offensive coordinator? You guys know. It's the general, who can I point the finger at that makes the most sense? And to be honest, I really don't see that happening. Now, I could be completely wrong about Caleb Williams because that's the question mark. But if I go back and I look at Caleb Williams' stats and everything that he's been able to do for USC, he's improved each year. And that's what you basically want to see for someone who's coming into this kind of a situation with this kind of team. For someone that's consistent, fine. They may still perform, but may not perform up to the standards of what you would like to see. But the difference, I think, with Caleb Williams is he's coming into a solid team. He's improved each year on his game. And so I think he's in a position to do great and, continue on with this Bears franchise so that they can become a household name again. The Bears, right? Right. Chicago needs to sweep the Packers in 24. That's going to be a whole nother topic. All right. That's going to be a whole nother topic. We'll get into those Packers momentarily. All right, let's get into the defense. As far as your defense goes, you got DeMarcus Walker, Andrew Billings, Gervon Dexter Sr., Montez Sweat, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds. Yes, I'm still salty about that from my Bills. You already know how that goes. Jack Sanborn, Jalen Johnson, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Baird, Tyreek Stevenson, and Kyler Gordon. And as far as the special teams, you got Cairo Santos, Torrey Taylor, Dante Pettis, Velas Jonas Jr., and then Patrick Scales. Is that Scalus or Scales? We'll go with either one for your long snapper. All right. So, yeah, from the offensive point, very solid. The defense, if I just go back, because I know they've obviously made some adjustments here, but if I do go back and I look at the schedule from last year, I'm just going to use this as a point of reference in regards to what the defense was able to do. So when we look at the schedule from last year, we see it as a game of 38-20. Bears allowed 38 points. 27-17. Bears allowed 27 points. 41-10 allowed 41. So, obviously we don't need to see these kind of, numbers coming into next season. We know the Bears have made, adjustments at defense. The real question is there going to be a proper game plan that is going to resolve the allowing of the big passes, allowing of the big run plays to happen, basically keep things contained so that not only this team can go out there and potentially win, but to keep things a game, because when you have a situation where Kansas City's up 41-10, or they win the game 41-10, that goes to show that either the defense wasn't doing their job or the defensive coordinator hadn't game planned correctly. And yes, you can say, well, it's the Bears and it's Patrick Mahomes, but there's really no excuse for your defense allowing that many touchdowns to happen. So that's something that I definitely think going into next year, the Bears have tightened up as far as on their defense. What they're going to be able to do is, probably get more stops, obviously, but just fine-tune things so that these games are a lot more close and you're putting Caleb Williams in a situation to where he doesn't have to feel so pressured to try and come back or, try and come back from a huge deficit, because that's a lot on a rookie, especially someone who doesn't really have the true experience and development in the NFL or playing at the NFL level. You can expect Caleb Williams to go out there and do what he needs to do. from what you've seen, but we still don't know how he's going to react to when it's actually game time and how things actually matter when it comes to stepping out on that field. Purple says, anyone remember the two teams I can't stand? Shout out to you, Purple. Dallas and KC. All right, let's go ahead and get into the schedule, ladies and gentlemen. The schedule for these Bears. All right. Now, 2024 schedule for the Bears and what to, expect. What are we thinking that this team can do? Well, obviously I already went over as far as, them having a complete and solid roster, right? The starting lineup to go out there and score, a decent offense that's going to actually be a competitive threat. The defense being able to step up when it matters most, being able to get the stops that they need, being able to not only help the offense, keep it close, but maybe even get some strip sacks, some fumbles, some interceptions, run them in for a pick six. Those are going to be key things that the Bears obviously need to come into next season and be a true challenge. But when we get into the schedule, I'll tell you this right now. It doesn't look too bad. I see some competitive games. I see some challenges. I see some games where they will be tested. But when I start looking at this schedule, it doesn't look too bad for the Bears, and we're going to break it down. Obviously, their season opener, first game, is going to be against the Tennessee Titans. For me, this is a 50-50 game because, obviously, when you look at the Titans, we also know that they went through their own changes. Will Levis, obviously, it's going to be his actual year to come out and shine for the Titans and show them what they have from week one. So this could be a toss-up game. This could be, a 50-50. I am leaning more towards to the Bears just because they probably have more of a solid team in regards to the talent that's going to be out on that field. So, yeah, it's a 50-50 for me, but I'm leaning more towards the Bears. Week 2, the Houston Texans. Now, this is going to be tough, right? Because now you're questioning whether or not the defense is going to be able to stop C.J. Stroud. This defense is going to be able to stop Stephon Diggs. This defense is going to be able to stop Tank Dell. Those people are definitely elite, and they're going to make you pay if they're able to burn you on those routes. So the real question is are the Bears going to be ready for these Texans? Now, this is for me, obviously, I'm leaning more towards Houston because they've got a lot of chemistry going. They're working as far as, with Stephon Diggs now. That's another veteran presence that's coming over, and I think C.J. Stroud is going to like that a lot. They're coming off of a strong postseason. So, yeah, I think Houston Texans is going to take this one. I'm not going to write the Bears off completely because I do think, it'll be a game, but I do think the Texans will take it. Following up against the Colts, obviously you got Anthony Richardson back. We talk about injuries and things like that and whether or not teams will be able to or personnel will be able to bounce back following, having a year off in regards to their injury. I think Anthony Richardson will be fine. I think coming back this year and as far as what these Colts are going to rally behind him. Once again, for me, this comes down to it being a 50-50 game because if Anthony Richardson comes back and he's able to ball out and really put it on these Bears, then you may have the same situation with Caleb Williams. If he's able to find that confidence by week 3 and go out there and make it a ball game, this could be one where we're all just sitting there going crazy over because it's a hell of a game. I want to say this is evenly matched. I think it's going to be evenly matched because this is going to be Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams going at it back and forth. And I think the most important thing for this one is going to be whether or not the defense steps up on either side and who makes the most mistakes. Follow up with that is going to be the Rams, right? The Rams, Matthew Stafford and company. I mean, they're obviously we're dealing with some injuries and stuff like that last year. Coming back into this one, I could see this potentially being, Matt Stafford getting into his last stand. From a competitive point, I do think that the Bears probably have a little bit more talent on the offensive side of things, but the defense for the Rams is strong. So we'll see how well they're tested. But I will lean towards the Bears on this one, just because I think Matt Stafford's going to lose a step or two coming into this season. Not completely, right? I'm not writing Matt Stafford off because someone's going to be mad at me. But I just think that, he's getting to the point where, his career is starting to wind down. What's going on with Stetson Bennett? That's a whole other conversation we need to have as well. But yeah, I'll take the Bears in that one. Bears and the Panthers, right? This is, once again, basically battle of the rookies. But, Bryce Young and just everything that the Panthers have going on right now, I'm just not sure, even with the changes that they've made in this offseason, I may be, kicking myself in the butt, but I just don't think the Panthers have it. I think the Bears are going to take this one and by a significant margin. This may be a statement game for the Bears against the Panthers. Next after that, it's going to be the Jags, right? Trevor Lawrence. To me, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags are kind of that hit or miss team. Either they're really on or they're not on at all. And that's kind of, I think, what you've been getting with the Jags over the last couple of years. I like Trevor Lawrence. I like this team. I like what they've been doing. And at this point, it just really, especially with these international games, they can come out and they'll ball and then, they end up winning by 3 or something like that. I will sway towards the Jags on this one, though, because it just seems like whenever they go across seas, they have things in their favor. Trevor Lawrence tends to step up, especially at 9:30 in the morning. It seems like he probably has, his Wheaties or something. He has a different box of Wheaties than what anybody else has, and he just shows up overseas at 9:30 a.m. So I will lean to the Jags on this one. Next after that, it's going to be the bye week, and before we get to the second half of the schedule, I'll hop into the chat with you guys. Shout out to Immortal, says defensive line needs to be physical up front. It depends on Gervin Dexter, their 3 technique. He's trained hard this offseason. Gator strong. The biggest, I want to say, problem that most defenses and defensive coverages have when there's been changes as far as chemistry. When we talk about the offseason and when we talk about the training camp and everything that they do up into preseason and obviously the regular season, how much time is really being invested out on that field, right? And I'm not saying that these guys aren't putting in work, and I'm not saying that some of these guys really, really aren't putting in the extra effort, but we know and we see it time and time again where a lot of players slack off and then some people don't show up for camp because they got contract disputes going on and things like that. That for me is very significant, right? It's the time that these individuals don't take that ruins the chemistry when it comes game time. Now, yeah, there are certain people who can take a little bit of time off in the off season and still go out there and ball out. But guess what? They've put in the work. They've already been developed. They're most likely elite. So when you don't see certain individuals really giving it their all in training camp, it really opens your eyes to how that's going to be, their play style and how they're going to affect their team when it matters the most. So, the defensive schemes and defensive coverages, make sense on an individual basis, but we're really going to have to see what the Bears can do as a complete group and how that's going to, change the dynamic when we get into this season. So then obviously we get into week 8 against the Commanders. I've been saying this as far as the Commanders, I'm just not sure, right? I think everything's up in the air with the Commanders. New team, new culture, basically a whole new environment for this team and this franchise. So, that could be a good thing. They could have to step into the role a little more down the road. But with that said, I think this will be a good one, but I'm going to give the edge to the Bears. Next after that's going to be Arizona. What's going on with Kyler Murray? Marvin Harrison. We already had that discussion. That was our first team that we covered in our 32 and 31. I did say that obviously there was going to be some differences with Arizona. I think this year, I do think this would be the year where where we do see Kyler Murray actually step up and change some things around. I'm hoping that he spends more time reading the playbook than on Xbox, but hey, I could be wrong. And that could probably be detrimental to what happens next season. But hey, this is week 9. So, we're starting to get into the weeks where things really start shaping up. And this could be a very significant game, not only for Arizona, but for the Bears as well. So as far as, from a competitive point of view, I think the Bears, once again, have a little bit more of a competitive advantage. The only difference is Kyler Murray is more of an experienced quarterback, right? So you have that. So for me, it's going to be a 50-50, leaning more towards Arizona on this one just because of the veteran experience that's going to be out on that field for the Cardinals. Number 10, week 10, it's going to be against New England, right? The Bears. We talked about this in regards to New England as far as everything that they've been able to do and what they haven't been able to do. Hands down, I'm not sure, if this is going to be New England's year or they're in a rebuilding period. The quarterback situation is crazy right now. So I'm going to have to give week 10 to the Bears straight up. Here comes the big one. Week 11. Week 11, Bears and the Packers. Now, yes, this one's going to be huge. All kinds of crazy talk and animosity and words are going to get thrown around. Chairs are going to get tossed. This is going to be nuts. Jordan Love, Caleb Williams. How do we address this one? There's going to be so much emotion, so much energy in this specific game. It's going to be at 1 p.m. I will say this. I think to Green Bay's advantage, you have a team that did very well last year. Now, for the life of me, I don't understand why Green Bay would get rid of Aaron to move on to Jacobs. But, I think you're really getting the same kind of running back, to be honest. I really do. How that's going to translate to the gameplay, I don't think it's really going to change much. It was kind of a weird swap. But there's so much more, right? Jordan Love, I think, has came into his own. The team rallies behind him. He's got strong chemistry with his wide receivers. That Green Bay defense, they're working, they're clicking. This could very well be one of those legendary games for these two and start the timeline of something that could be very significant for the Love and Williams trajectory. So, with this one, I do think that it's going to be a dogfight. I don't think it's going to be a clear-cut, blowout on either side. And for the most part, I would think that, I will have to give a little bit of the edge once again to Green Bay. And that's not because I think that the Bears can't win it, but it's more so because this is Caleb Williams' first year. This is a huge game. And this is a huge game that is now in the weeks of very important games. So if you're going to prove everybody wrong, this would be the game to win. It's going to be very difficult. You've got Green Bay coming into your stadium. This is a statement game without a doubt if you can win it. If you don't win it, I think people will appreciate that you've kept it close and you've made it a game. I think that's where this one will probably go. Now, I'm giving the edge to Green Bay on that one. Week 12, you're going up against J.J. McCarthy. You're going up against Justin Jefferson and that solid Minnesota Vikings defense. This is going to be huge. Once again, Caleb Williams and this team will be tested. Now, barring any kind of injuries or any kind of significant changes with the Bears going into this game against Minnesota, it's going to be another one where battle of the quarterbacks, battle of, the rookies. You've got McCarthy on one side, you got Williams on the other. Who's going to want it more? And to be honest, though, even with the talent that the Vikings do have, I think the Bears have a solid chance of winning this game. I really do. They're both in the same kind of situation. You obviously have Minnesota coming into Bear Stadium. So, yeah, I'm going to have to give the Bears this one at home. I think they're going to take it. After that's going to be Detroit. They're going to see the Lions. I like the Bears, but, hey, I don't think they're going to take them Lions at home. I'm just being real with y'all. Lions at home is a different story. Now we've seen some teams obviously, go to Detroit and make it a game, come out with, a 2-point victory or a field goal, something like that. But I think for the most part where the Bears are, you're running up against a lot of talent. You're running up against a team that is, out for a potential championship run, potential Super Bowl run. So it's going to be very tough to make it a game against the Lions. I think the Lions do take that one at home. 49ers is after that. Once again, very tough. Yeah, I mean, that's I got to give that to the 49ers. I just don't think that, the Bears are really going to have a true chance against the 49ers, especially at so late in the season where these weeks really matter as far as, determining how the playoffs are set up. But then they'll obviously play Minnesota again. And this is a situation where it's going to be Monday Night Football. It could be, a split. For instance, the Bears could win the first one. Vikings could win the second one. Do I see them winning both times? It's possible. It's definitely possible. But you're going to have a primetime game with both quarterbacks, and all the eyes are going to be on them. Everybody's eyes are going to be on them at Monday at 8 p.m. So that's going to be huge. And I like how they actually scheduled that out. That was a good one. Bears, Vikings, both rookie quarterbacks. Prime time on a Monday night. That's great. Moving on to Detroit. They play Detroit again. Like I said, I'm not sure about, beating Detroit. I just think that Detroit, those Lions, Jared Goff, everybody on that team, Laporte on those boys, they're balling. They're going to be tough to beat, and it'll be a miracle if the Bears can. Going into the Seahawks going into the Bears, I do think that the Bears will definitely put up a good game with them, but they will take it. The Bears will take that one. And then obviously they'll face Green Bay at the last game of the season, which definitely will be huge because it's Green Bay. It's Green Bay. There's a lot to unpack because you're basing Caleb Williams off of what he was able to do in college. That's the reality of it. If we have tape and we're looking at a year of Caleb Williams playing solid football for 17 weeks, and we have an idea as far as what we can expect and how he's going to react to, being down, how he's going to react to these significant moments under pressure, how he's going to react being chased down in the pocket, then we'll have a better idea as far as, what is going to happen in a full season. But for right now, as far as with some of these games where you have new quarterbacks or if you have a quarterback that's on their second year, I think Caleb Williams does have a solid chance because he is elite for who he is and for what he can do for this team. I do think he is elite on college football standards. Now, when we talk about the NFL, we're going to have to really address it come week one. You guys know how we do. We do the predictions and all that kind of stuff. We'll be addressing his play style, how he really, went out there and showed what he has and all good stuff. But for the most part, I think he will do well. I think this team that he has is going to rally behind him. He's got the talent. He's got the personnel. I don't think there's really much that is going to stop Caleb Williams besides himself. And I don't think that's, there's nothing wrong with that. Because you're giving this kid everything that he needs to go out there and be successful. And if he can't do it, then he needs to become better and he needs to work on his game for sure. Father Thomas says, I see the Bears winning 10, maybe 11. Listen, it's really good. When you look at this schedule, you look at it from a point of view that, all right, a lot of these teams have made significant changes and a lot of these teams have individuals important individuals who are coming off of significant injuries. So when you're looking at a point of, okay, Caleb Williams is coming off of a great season with USC. He's the number one draft pick. He's now in the situation to turn things around for the Bears. And I think he actually believes in that, right? I think he's now at the point where he believes in that. So he's going to go out there and do the best that he can to turn around this team. And the Bears may be in a position to be one of the teams this year that will surprise us, without a doubt. As far as my grade and what I'm going to give these Bears, from an offensive standpoint, I am going to give them a B+. I'm going to give them a B+. The offensive line, obviously seeing some changes and things like that. I do think that, we're going to have to see what they're able to do in regards to some of these defenses and how much time they allow Caleb Baxter to figure things out, how many sacks he's able to avoid, all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I give him a B+. Very close to an A. Very close to an A. And as far as the defense, I mean, I probably give them, I probably have to give them a solid. I'd probably have to give the Bears defense right now a solid B-. And I'll say that because you're coming into a new season. You've got a lot to fight for. The changes that the Bears have made defensively, I think, matter, and they're going to be great. But unfortunately, we just haven't seen it yet. So my overall grade is going to be a B. And I don't think anybody should be mad at me for that. I'm going to give the Bears a B coming into this season. Obviously, that can change as the weeks go on. But for right now, for what they have defensively, offensively, Caleb Williams, I'm going to give him a solid B. And I think that's right where we should be. Shout out to you, Luta. Let's go. Luta in the building. Forrest says Caleb's going to get slapped around like... All right. We'll see. Listen, at the end of the day, from the tape that I've seen and from the highlights that I've seen and the games that we've watched, at some point, the most important thing to watch for Caleb is going to be the tough moments, how he's going to respond to the pressure, right? Not when the game just started, right? Not when it's 14-7, not when it's 7-7, not when it's 7-3. The moments to watch Caleb, it's if it gets to a point to where it's like 14-3, 10-3. Is he going to freeze up? Is he going to stay composed? Is he going to stay focused? Is he going to become frazzled easily? These are the kind of things, because, college is college. We know that, but at the same time, college, these guys are kids. They're kids. And I say kids respectively, right? But they're still kids. You're talking, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Some of these guys are a little bit up there because that NIL money. But for the most part, they're kids. And then coming into this league, you get hit that one right time. Things start to change. When you get hit and you're on your back and you realize you get that welcome to the NFL hit, things change. And the mindset changes, and, your ability to read the field's going to be tested. Your ability to read the defense going to be tested. The game's going to be a lot faster, and all of that's going to, come down on the heels of Caleb Williams. So I think that's the most important part of this whole conversation, because when you break down that offense and when you break down everything that Caleb Williams has, you start to realize that any other quarterback in his situation would think that was absolutely amazing. They would be overjoyed with having everything that he has starting for him. So I think the big point is hoping that he's out there building the relationships that he needs to, building the chemistry that he needs to, learning from the veterans, and reading that playbook, doing some studying, and taking care of his body, because that's going to be huge, without a doubt. You don't want to see another rookie quarterback go down the first year. We've seen that multiple times, and it sucks. We don't want anybody to be robbed of, their experience the first year. So I think that's what Caleb Williams needs to focus on the most. Hopefully he does. And if he does, I think he'll go out there and be great. And I think in his first year, he may be able to put up some solid numbers and shock the world. On the flip side, right? Because there's two sides to every coin. He could go out there and completely bomb. He could come out there and be worse than Justin Jefferson, and everybody throws tomatoes on the field, and it's just an absolute shit show. It could happen. It shouldn't happen, but it could happen, and that's the reality behind this, because we had such high hopes for Justin Fields, and then look what happened. Look what happened. Everyone was so upset. There was such a waste of talent. The whole thing got dismantled, and it boiled down to Justin Fields basically, telling the coaches to let him play his game and do what he needs to do. And if it wasn't for them, and I would have did this and I would have did that. And it turned into all these kind of excuses that nobody really wanted to hear. You're only as good as your last game. That's what they say. And unfortunately, Justin Fields made almost every game his last game. So, I have high hopes for Caleb Williams. I think that he will do great. I think, like I said, this team and this town and this franchise will rally behind him. And Caleb Williams should be a fresh breath of air for the city of Chicago. Without a doubt. Shout out to you, Shane. Much love, yo. Just love the content, Jay. Best NFL streamer. Yeah, man. Without a doubt. Tyrone says, you seriously think the Bears will be good next year? Come on. Listen. Let me go back here for you. Let me pull it up, my friend. One more time for you. You don't think that we'll leave off Caleb Williams and Rome. You don't think DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Cole Kmet can't drum up some great offense? Right? Let's just remove Caleb Williams and Rome. And you have those four individuals there: DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet. I'll tell you this right now. You put Justin Herbert with this squad, he's easily putting up 4,000, and they go into the playoffs. You take Joe Burrow with that squad, easily going to the playoffs. You put Josh Allen with that squad, easily going to the playoffs. So that's why I'm saying it's a B. It's a solid B because of we don't really have much tape on Caleb Williams yet. But for the most part, if Caleb Williams is going to be the guy and the talent displays that on the field, the Bears may be a problem. And I'm not saying first year he's going to come out there and just absolutely destroy the competition. But if the defense can do what they do and they keep some of these games close and Caleb Williams finds some confidence to win and you have your playmaker step up, that's going to be the difference of the Bears winning and losing. That specifically right there. Without a doubt. Shout out to Patty Hassad in the house. Let's go. Shout out to you, Patty Wrench Gang in the building, ladies and gentlemen. Shane Owens says, is Fields going to be a starter now or what? I'll be honest with you. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm kind of pitting them against each other for the first few weeks. I'm getting with my defensive coordinator, and I'm going to put Justin Fields and Russell Wilson against each other for the first few weeks. I'm going to see the strengths and weaknesses on Fields in regards to a game where we know we need, a running quarterback who can throw. And then I'm going to put Russell Wilson in a game where I know that I need a steady arm, but a quarterback that's mobile. And I'm going to see who does the best. And then I'd make the decision on that. Now, I think the Steelers are good in the way of pitting them against each other in regards to bringing them both on the team, because now it's like, all right, Russell, what are you going to do? What you going to do, Russell? And for him, it's going to be a point of, well, I got to show up. right? I got to show this rookie up. I got to go out there and get my best game. So it works for Mike Tomlin both ways, and he's able to not only get the best of both worlds, but he's able to make them bring the best out of each other to see who's actually going to get that starting role. Let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Patty Hassad coming through with the $10 super chat, ladies and gentlemen. Ric Flair, where you at? Shout out to you, Patty. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the $10 super chat donation. I do appreciate you. I do appreciate the love. So now back to the question, right? Back to the question. Is Caleb Williams the real deal? And out of the votes here, 58% of you said no. Well, let's do this then. 58% of you said no. Let's go ahead and get into some of these stats. Over the course of 3 years, you're looking at 136 of 211, 64.5% completion, 1,912 yards. Average was 9.1, 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Long was 67. Sack was 20 and 22. Obviously moved on to USC. 333 completions, 500 attempts. Completion percentage, 66.6, 4,537 yards. Average was 9.1, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. His long was 75, 30 sacks. Next year after that, 266 completions, 388 attempts, 68.6%, 3,633 yards. Average was 9.4, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Long was 76. Sacked 33 times. Now, when you look at those numbers, and if you can translate that to the NFL, that is a superstar. You know just as well as I do. If you can get 66% completion, 4,500 yards, 42 touchdowns. I mean, touchdown was a little high. Like I said, the NFL is different. 42 touchdowns in your first year in the NFL, listen, they going to roll out the money bags. But the most important thing that I see on these stats, it's not even the yards. It's not even the touchdowns. It's the interceptions. 21 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, 30 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. When you're talking about a quarterback who is not willing to put the ball where it shouldn't go so that it can get picked off, or making sure that the ball is placed properly for a wide receiver to catch it, that is what we've seen from Caleb Williams. That is what you'd love to see from your favorite quarterback. And that is hopefully what these Bears will see moving into this next season here, ladies and gentlemen. But let me go back and read some of these comments. Demis says, if they go 8-9, does the coach keep his job? Caleb plays the whole year. I'll be honest with you. I think the expectation for Caleb Williams and this Bears team is to do way better than 8-9, because I think if they do go 8-9, that is going to signify that there's a waste of talent on the team, and someone didn't do proper coaching, without a doubt. Now, on the flip side, obviously, if the record is terrible, somebody's got to go. Right? Somebody's definitely got to go. You can't have this and go 8-9. It absolutely does not make sense. People will be calling for people's heads if this Bears team goes 8-9 with this squad. It'll be pandemonium. Now, I will say this, though. If the Bears do have a bad season, because that can happen, if they do have a bad season, I see it being more so of a situation of it being close games. Right? If it's a close game, yeah, we're willing to accept that, because we understand that Caleb Williams is still in the development role for the first year. He's still a rookie. So the expectations can only be so high. But at the same time, there's gonna have to be a lot that we look at when it comes to the tape. There's gonna have to be a lot that we look at when it comes to the decision making in the tough moments. There's gonna be a lot that we have to figure out as far as the coach's decisions in certain scenarios. So all that is going to be very important when we get down to that point for them to obviously make that decision. And I'm sure they'll make the right one at the end of the day. But I do think that these Bears are going to do better than 8-9. I do. I think they'll do better than 8-9, without a doubt. Father says, if Caleb is not a bust, Bears could easily win that division. Exactly. I mean, that's the absolute reality of it. You're in a great plan. DeAndre Swift, absolutely amazing for the Eagles. Shout out to you, Lutz. Have a good night. DeAndre Swift did absolutely amazing for the Eagles. Now, obviously, I do think that by running, that push so much, and Jalen Hurts just not being the quarterback that we know he could be and playing at the top of his game, kind of stifled the Eagles. But when we're talking about DeAndre Swift's production, I mean, there's nothing to be upset about here. He had 229 carries, 1,049 yards. He was fifth. He did have 5 touchdowns, but his average is 4.6. So do the math on that. And then obviously, we get into someone like Keenan Allen, who we know is a stud. 6'2", 211, right? 108 receptions. He had 1,243 yards, 7 touchdowns. His average was 11.5. If Caleb Williams can really, really build on what these guys can do and harness, their talents and their strength, then without a doubt, he should have a good year. And I think that's the bottom line. Shout out to you, Patty. Much love. Glad to see you. Have yourself a good night as well. See you soon. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. There it is. I think, like I said, at the end of the day, I'm going to give a solid B to these Bears. I think that Caleb Williams, with the team that he has, should have all the pieces to put on the chessboard. And so now it's just his time to go out there and learn how to play chess. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for tonight. I will see you all tomorrow. And we'll keep going in our 32 and 31, covering all 32 teams. Much love to the Wrench Gang. Much love to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. I do appreciate each and every one of you. And we'll see you all tomorrow.